Welcome to the Pearson Eco-Business Zone Policy Toolkit Training video series. This policy training video will provide an overview of the Fast-Tracking Eco-Business Zone Applications How to Get Started primer. Additional training videos are available on the following tools: links between Ontario Planning Policy and Partners in Project Green, and using development permits to promote eco-business zone activity. The training videos, as well as the full policy toolkit, can be accessed at www.partnersinprojectgreen.com/policytoolkit. To begin, I would like to provide a little background on the policy toolkit. The policy toolkit is a collection of independent tools whose purpose is to provide guidance to municipalities in their development of a harmonized planning environment that will help facilitate and coordinate eco-business activities. The policy toolkit specifically assists municipal partners in developing and coordinating policies, regulations, and standards that will support green businesses. The policy toolkit's resources provide policy direction, answers to frequently asked questions, training materials, eco-business best practices, tips on leveraging legislation and regulations, steps for implementing green business initiatives, and several other resources. The policy toolkit is broken up into three main categories based on their intended purpose. The first category is communications tools. For example, the overview of Partners in Project Green for municipal staff helps municipal staff become familiar with and communicate about Partners in Project Green. The next category is primers, which are brief overviews of key information that will help staff from different municipal departments develop a high-level understanding of the policy, regulatory, and incentive framework that can shape eco-business zone activities. This policy training video will focus on one of the policy toolkit primers, Fast-Tracking Eco-Business Zone Applications, How to Get Started. Other primers that are available include links between Ontario Planning Policy and Partners in Project Green, using development permits to promote eco-business zone activity, and eco-business zone municipal incentives. The third category is policy templates, which provide specific examples of best practices, current policy wording, advice, and other practical guidance for creating eco-business policy, regulations, and incentives. Available policy templates include Glossary of Eco-Business and Sustainability Terms, Eco-Business Zone Policy Statement, Potential Municipal Eco-Business Zone Official Plan Policies, Considerations of Eco-Business Zone Development Standards, Eco-Business Subdivision Planning and Servicing Requirement, and Eco-Business Development Screening Tool. These tools are available for viewing and download at www.partnersinprojectgreen.com/policytoolkit. This policy training video will focus on the Policy Toolkit Primer Fast-Tracking Eco-Business Zone Applications How to Get Started. The goal of the primer is to help municipalities in developing an expedited approval process for green developments that will help facilitate the development of eco-business zones. Expedited approvals for green developments, rezonings, subdivisions, or building permits can be used to provide an incentive to developers to meet desired sustainability criteria. Incentives for developers include time saved in the approvals process that can reduce overall project costs. The benefits of an expedited approvals program to municipalities include encouraging actions that will help municipalities achieve their sustainability objectives and establishing clear expectations and guidance for developers. In the Fast-Tracking Eco-Business Zone Applications Primer, you will find tips and strategies for developing an expedited approvals process, including an outline of how fast-tracking considerations will affect the standard development application process, case studies of municipalities who have experience with an expedited approvals process, and best practices that municipalities can use to make efficient use of an expedited approvals process. Variations of expediting the approvals process for certain types of development are already being practiced by other jurisdictions, and references to several of these can be found in the primer. From these experiences, it has been found that fast-tracking the approvals process for green developments can have the following effects and address the following issues. An expedited approvals process can help municipalities establish clear expectations and guidance for developers, provide a means to achieve sustainability objectives, and reduce costs to developers. Expediting the approvals process can help developers reduce costs, as time saved in the approvals process may reduce overall project costs. Streamlining can be accomplished through aligning upper and lower tier municipal processing procedures and providing educational resources to municipal staff so they are familiar with sustainability concepts and design criteria, which will allow them to process green approvals in less time. The City of Vernon and Port Coquitlam in British Columbia both use sustainability checklists as a complementary tool for their fast-tracking program. The checklists serve as a guide for developers, but also provides an educational resource for municipal staff in determining if applicants are eligible for fast-track priority. With this tool, the application can be efficiently processed by municipal staff as it outlines many sustainability concepts and design criteria that are required for fast-tracking status. Fast-tracking the approvals process for eco-business zone applications can also help remove some of the barriers to green development. This is because it provides assurance to developers that green developments will not result in increased approval times. This provides an indirect financial incentive for green developments that would not otherwise be available to traditional development projects. Toronto's Streamlining the Application Review, or STAR, process includes several strategies that help applicants save time and money as they go through the review process. The fast-tracking program outlines the city's timeline targets for reviewing applications and organizes applications into 3 types: complex, routine, and quick. The pre-application consultation helps to identify key issues and required approvals necessary for a formal submission. The Developing Toronto Guide outlines submissions that are required as part of a complete application. A completed Toronto Green Standard checklist is one of the required submissions. Complete applications give staff and the public a better idea of proposed development, thereby reducing time and saving money as they avoid the need for future corrections or public consultation events. Fast-tracking eco-business zone applications can also reinforce business attraction and retention efforts. Having a system in place that offers reduced development application processing times can be a valuable feature that attracts key business sectors. For example, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing's A Practical Guide to Brownfield Redevelopment in Ontario has identified that the easier it is for property owners and developers to receive the necessary approvals, the more attractive a brownfield becomes for redevelopment. They also recommend several strategies that will help municipalities streamline the approvals process. These include creating an internal working group made up of representatives from various departments which have a stake in the redevelopment of brownfields, having a brownfield coordinator or knowledgeable staff as a valuable tool in helping developers and property owners through the redevelopment process, and soliciting a political representative to play a major role in promoting brownfield redevelopment and creating public support. In addition to an expedited approvals process, some municipalities will also prioritize green developments and allow green applications to skip to the front of the application line. This helps to demonstrate the municipality's commitment to green development and further encourages traditional business applicants to consider sustainable developments. For example, in the city of Issaquah, Washington, applications that meet a minimum number of specified green building performance requirements are placed at the front of the queue ahead of other development applications. We are now going to take a look at some of the ways a fast-tracking program could impact the typical development application process. As shown in the right column of the table, there are several fast-tracking considerations that could be taken into account in a standard development application process. For example, at the pre-application consultation stage, the municipality would promote the fast-tracking program by highlighting the benefits of participating for the developer, community, and the environment. This may be promoted as part of a suite of municipal tools that offer green development incentives. Other areas of impact include the draft application stage. Here, the municipality may provide the developer with other complementary tools, such as a sustainability checklist or scorecard that includes many options for consideration in the planning and design process. The checklist would help promote and guide developers towards green development options, which help them meet the minimum number of sustainability criteria required to fast-track their application. Developers could also use the sustainability checklist to independently assess their application's fast-track eligibility prior to submitting the draft to the municipality. Once applicants identify that they intend to meet minimum number of sustainability criteria and provide documentation to this effect, they are considered for fast-tracking. An applicant at this point can alert a development officer who will then flag the application for expedited review. During the review stages, the municipality and developer would also evaluate the sustainability checklist against the development application and discuss eligibility and any suggested changes. Final expedited approval is granted if the minimum number of sustainability criteria is addressed to the satisfaction of the development officer. The application will then be given priority status and placed at the front of the queue ahead of other development applications. To see real-life applications, the primer offers several examples from Canadian and U.S. jurisdictions that have implemented some variation of an expedited approvals process. The primer, available at www.partnersandprojectgreen.com/policy-toolkit, offers a brief description and links to external websites regarding these case studies. Some best practices that should be considered when creating a green development fast-tracking program include educational resources, which are essential to the success of the program. Municipalities should create materials to ensure that developers are educated and aware of all of the program benefits, requirements, and timelines. For example, the materials would describe the eligibility requirements and highlight the benefits of reduced processing times compared to a typical development application. Municipalities should also create economic development and marketing materials that assist municipalities in their business attraction and retention efforts. These materials should contain an overview of the program, including how it works and why a business would benefit from taking part. Existing development application materials should be revised to further integrate and promote the program. Revising materials such as the application forms, website text, promotional materials, online application status tracking, and so on can be an effective and direct method to indicate the time savings and possible benefits available to those that qualify for the fast-tracking program. Integrating the fast-tracking program with other tools and incentives is also a great strategy to promote and encourage developers to participate. For example, some municipalities use a sustainability checklist to assess the application's eligibility for an expedited approval. Lastly, publishing general timelines for business as usual versus green applications that are eligible to be fast-tracked is a simple but effective strategy to get developers to consider incorporating sustainable strategies into their developments. Here is a short list of jurisdictions, some already mentioned, who have experience with fast-tracking programs geared towards eco-business related developments. Again, please refer to the primer for more information and links to the appropriate websites. In the city of Santa Monica, California, they advertise their fast-tracking program as part of their green development incentives. One of the features of their program is that any applicants who indicate they are pursuing LEED certification for their development and provide documentation to support this claim are given priority and are considered for fast-tracking approval. The City of Vernon, British Columbia, provides applicants with a smart growth checklist of principles to consider in the planning and design stage. This process is used as a basis for issuing fast-track priority to qualifying applications. In Issaquah, Washington, applications meeting a minimum number of specified green building performance requirements will be placed at the front of the queue ahead of other development applications. The city also provides free green development workshops for applicants. In Toronto, the Gold Star program helps to streamline the development process and helps businesses reduce the time and cost incurred when working on development projects. Each project is assigned to a City of Toronto District Review team led by a planning director and an economic development officer who works with the project manager to identify approval requirements and ensure the client receives prompt attention. In Port Coquitlam, British Columbia, developers use the city's triple bottom line sustainability checklist to assess their development application's fast-tracked eligibility. High-scoring applications are fast-tracked through the development permitting process, and the checklist is further augmented with other non-fast-track related incentives. On the next slide, we will dig into this last example in more detail. Port Coquitlam is a small town of 57,000 people that is dedicated to healthy living and enjoys a picturesque natural setting and offers progressive business opportunities. Over the last several years, the city has seen new commercial, institutional, industrial, and residential developments, and as a result, the city decided to develop a fast-track green development approvals program as part of its sustainability initiative. The city determines which development applications are expedited through their triple bottom line sustainability checklist. They are the first municipality in North America to introduce such a measure for all significant land development applications. City Council uses the checklist as an assessment tool to determine how well a proposed development achieves community sustainability goals through its balanced scoring system of environmental, economic, and sociocultural criteria. As an essential tool used in their discussion and consideration of development applications, the checklist also helps to drive changes that lead to significant improvements in long-term community sustainability. The checklist criteria are created broad and multifaceted to provide flexibility and encourage innovation. By providing sustainability criteria through the checklist at an early stage, the city enables developers and their consultants to understand the city's sustainability goals and help to create the most sustainable project possible. Developers use the city's sustainability checklist to independently score their application prior to submitting the first draft to the city. Through this self-assessment, the developer determines how the criteria could apply to the development project and site. Then, before the application review stage, the city also scores the development application using the same sustainability checklist. During the application review meetings between the developer and the city, the checklist scores provide a common basis for evaluation and help to identify any areas where improvement is desirable and possible, particularly where the developer's self-assessment score varies significantly from the city assessment score. Applicants that score high on the sustainability checklist will be fast-tracked through the rezoning and development approvals process. The city's sustainability checklist is provided to all development inquirers and is available on the city's webpage, as seen here. As the case studies demonstrate, there are several benefits to creating and implementing a fast-tracking program for green developments. As discussed earlier, some of the benefits to developers are that they will be spending less time in the development approvals process, which gives them an opportunity to reduce overall project costs. Green development applications may also be eligible to skip to the front of the application line or have a dedicated municipal review team, thereby further reducing the approvals process for the developments. Municipalities will also find that a fast-tracking program for green development will help to attract key business sectors, encourage traditional business applicants to consider sustainable development, and remove barriers to green development, as they can assure developers that green development will not result in increased approval times. Fast-tracking programs also demonstrate the municipality's commitment to sustainable development. A fast-tracking program can also be easily incorporated in conjunction with other complementary municipal programs, tools, and incentives such as sustainability checklists and financial incentives for green developments. For more examples of municipal experience implementing green development fast-tracking programs, please see the primer found on the Partners in Project Green website. Thank you for joining us for this installment of the Policy Toolkit Training video series. For more information on Partners in Project Green, please visit www.partnersinprojectgreen.com. Once again, the link to access all of the policy tools and training videos is www.partnersinprojectgreen.com/policytoolkit.